President, Sales and Marketing with Atlanta Commercial Tire, which is one of the, if not the largest tire dealers here in Georgia. And Larry and I talked for the last few years about trying to put something together that would bring value to the association and to its members. And so asked Larry to put something together and talk about the program that he's got. So Larry, if you want to give us a little info.
We do recognize a lot of familiar names from some faces around here. Atlanta Commercial has been in Atlanta for a long time. We started off North Side Drive about 50 years ago. Locations in Albany, we have 2 locations down there, Macon, Griffin, Marietta, Atlanta, Doraville, Athens, Cartersville, and Dalton, Georgia. So we looked at a presentation. Hey, this isn't an infomercial where, hey, we're the best ever, buy all your tires from us. I didn't do it at all. It was more when Stephen and I was talking is how we bring value and kind of create a partnership with the TRAG company or with the TRAG association and everything else. And I think the best way to put it is, you know, was that old commercial membership has its privileges. You know, few people use that stuff. You know, it's good to say I'm a member of TRAG, but do you actually use some of the stuff that's available through there? What we have done, besides strictly a monetary kind of donation per tire you buy and all that stuff, what we do a lot of is we come in, if you all change your own tires in your shops, or you're having issues with tire wear, something like that, we're more than willing to come in there and do training sessions with your tire guys, look at some tires with whomever purchases the tires to make sure you have the right tire on the right equipment. I know Continental's come OE on a lot of the 19.5 stuff you all get. We're a Continental dealer. We have the reps that are in our facility all the time, every week. We're the only dealer in Georgia with Bridgestone, Michelin, Continental, Yokohama, and Hankook. We're direct with all of those folks. Only people we don't have is Goodyear, and we never will. We don't want them. So the one benefit is just having representation for what you buy. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you we're the cheapest, because we're not. And I'm sure you all aren't the cheapest at towing vehicles. You know, there's folks out there that love doing this. What we can offer is when you buy a tire, we're not just saying buy. Hey, here you go. We're going to support it through the life of the tire. If you ever have an issue, we'll get the manufacturers involved. And a lot of times they help adjust those tires, which I don't like saying adjustment too much because I don't want y'all to really know what it is, but it's basically helping you out on the tire if it's a tire issue. And that's anything we sell.
Larry, could you tell us a little bit more about those adjustments?
No. You've met your limit. So yeah, the main thing is use us as a resource. You know, we know you all have relationships with other tires. We appreciate that. Like I said, we're not here to say we want you buying everything from us. We're the best, we're the greatest, because I'm sure as customers have had issues with maybe some of your drivers, I'm sure that rarely happens. Some of y'all may not have good experience with us, and all I'm saying is I apologize for that. But now you have a contact. If something like that happens, call me up and ask me what the guy's smoking, and we'll do everything we can to make it right. But also, hey, tires for your all's fleet is the #1 expense you have from a maintenance standpoint. Unless you lump fuel in there, fuel sometimes goes on a lot of people's maintenance. Can't really do much about fuels. Tires is definitely your biggest controllable cost you have in your fleet. And for those of you that have been in the trucking business, you probably can attest to that. So our specialty, hey, let us get the right tire in the right application. We're going to support the tire. And please, if you all have any issues from a training standpoint, you know, insurance companies are getting a lot more sophisticated. We see it all the time in trucking companies. An insurance agent will be walking around the warehouse, and They see a guy in the corner mounting tires. Their first question is, how many of those does he do a day? It's become a huge liability. It's been the reason for a lot of insurance rates getting jacked up in some maintenance facilities. And not that all of you all have maintenance facilities, but again, if anybody ever sees guys mounting tires, they're going to start asking questions. You know, we do mounted tire programs for big fleets where we pick up a mounted tire and wheel, bring it back, dismount it, put another tire on it, take it back. So maybe that's easier for you all to maintain your fleet, where the guy, mechanic or whatever, can just screw the tire on. Doesn't necessarily have to break them down. You don't have to worry about tearing beads, all that good stuff. Puts a bunch of the tire liability back on us. We do about 500 a day, so we're pretty good at it. So it's just some things to consider, you know, things that can kind of help you all operate your business a little more efficiently. The training aspect of it is probably one of the biggest, though. I know we visited with Steve's shop guy a pretty good bit, and they buy some tire supplies from us and everything else. But any new people, anybody you all hire that may not have a lot of experience doing that, let us do it. We don't charge you to come out there and do it. You don't even have to buy tires from us. We just have a lot of time to waste. So, you know, let us know, hey, we hired this new guy. He wants to learn about tires. We can either come put on kind of a semi-formal class where we show him some videos, or just simply come out there and show him how to use golden tool, mount and dismount tires, especially on your 19.5s. Those are pretty difficult to work with. You still got to do those the old-fashioned way with the 2 tire bars. Believe it or not, I can do that. No, I don't look like much. So just lean on us. That's all we're saying. You know, like Stephen said, we've been talking about it for a couple of years. I don't think it's a coincidence. He invited me to the meeting in South Georgia because I think this is it. He said something about these are the only people that are going to be able to understand me.
So you want to tell them about the program that we got, the partnership?
Yeah, and what we've done from a TRAG standpoint, like I said, we do a lot of business with a lot of members of TRAG already. Without pulling up everybody's purchases, the one we know, we do somewhere around 1,800 tires a year right now for all of you folks. What Atlanta Commercial has committed to, and one good thing about having all those tire suppliers, we're real good at getting them to compete against each other to help organizations like this out. So every tire that a TRAG member buys through Atlanta Commercial Tire, we're gonna donate $3 a tire to the TRAG Association that you all can use for whatever you want to use. Meetings like this, any kind of trainers or anything you all want to bring in, it's going to be at your all's disposal. And Firestone actually has agreed to pony up a little more. They're going to do $5 a tire. Now I do have some price lists. Hey, we'll send that out to you later because I don't want you all to think it's not a huge sales pitch. It's a partnership, and we're trying to bring value to the members. That's what Stephen and I have been working on. I do have price lists. I'll be more than willing to send them out. The good thing about those is any of our locations, that price is good. So I'll communicate to all of our locations that there is a price for TRAG. So every quarter we'll pull up the purchases from the members, and then we'll have, if you don't have an account, if someone doesn't have an account set up with us, it'll just be under a TRAG cash account so we can track those purchases. And we'll do that every quarter and rebate back to the organization that amount of money. Again, so you can use for whatever.
So the member doesn't necessarily have to have an account with Atlanta Commercial?
Absolutely not. No, as long as they're a member of TRAG, we're going to honor that price.
So they just need to tell their deal when they're ordering the tire to their TRAG.
Yes, sir. Yeah. And if you don't have an account with us, then you say, hey, I'm a TRAG member, I pay cash, whatever, and we'll have an account set up for that. But Southside, I mean, y'all are an account for us. So all I do every quarter is I'll pull up Howard's, I'll pull up Southside, I'll pull up Merida Record, and we'll pull up total purchases, and then that's where we'll get the money to TRAG. And again, I don't want you all to think that's all this is about. It's not. Use us as a resource. Tires, I know you all hate them. I know that's why everybody's looking at me like this. We're not evil. They're just a necessary evil. But I think if you manage them properly and you get the right tire and the right application, your cost per mile is going to come down. And that's what it's all about. However you cost tires out, whether it's cost per tow, cost per mile, cost per 100 miles, I think that is the key to it. We've done a lot of things with Stephen over the past few years. I think he's seen a good benefit for it is we don't just want to sell you the tire. Stephen was having a lot of issues, inconsistent pricing and everything, and we know the Bridgestone folks real well. They signed him up on a national account. So if he has some oddball deal where he's running to Memphis, Tennessee, and he's on the side of the road somewhere, he's going to get the same price. Not going to buy it from us. That's okay. He's going to buy it from whatever dealer, probably the best one somewhere out there on 524.
What's the biggest mistake you see Paul is doing as far as
Chinese tires? Drop decks are a little different. You know, you're going to tear those things up before you wear them out. It's just a terrible application. We'll sell you Chinese drop deck tires, but hey, on main wreckers, I think he's seen a huge benefit out of running the premium products, the Bridgestones, the Continentals, the Michelin, stuff like that. You look at all the big trucking companies in the country, none of them run Chinese tires. There's a reason for that. If they were less costly, trust me, they do it. They spend more on researching tires every year than all of us spend on tires every year.
So I don't know if any of our members run retread, but tell them a little bit about the retread shop you guys.
We do. We're a Band-Ag retreader. It's the largest retreading process in the country. We have 3 facilities. We have one in Cartersville, one in Albany, and one in Atlanta. And we retread about 1,000 tires a day. I know it's not real. I know drivers necessarily don't like them. They think they're what do they call them? Maypops. Yeah. I got some Maypops, but hey, anytime, I know it's not real exciting, but anytime you all want to visit one of our retread facilities, you're more than welcome to just show up and look at the process. It's actually as intense, if not more, than a new tire plant. I mean, those things get touched by 14 different people at 14 different stations along the retreading process. And Band-Ag is the only one. We warranty that retread for the life of that tread. So if you only got 800 miles on it, it blows out for whatever reason, if it's a retread issue, I mean, we pay for that. And that's anywhere in the country. So we don't necessarily have to do it. If you're out in East Texas, West Texas, and you blow a tire, to be a Band-Ag dealer, you have to be part of the national warranty program. So we warrant everybody else's tires, they warrant ours. Kind of like it's a franchise. We own the shops, but we franchise it through Band-Ag. So we have to build all that stuff on certain equipment, all of our rubber from Band-Ag. Like I said, I know, hey, that's tough to put them on 19.5s and stuff, but if you all seen the little brown package cars running around, we do those for the entire state. Those are all 19.5s, and every one of them's retread. The steers are retread on most of them. Yeah. So that's the only place that you're able to put a retread on a steer application as a package car and a trash truck. So all the little waste management trucks and advanced disposals and stuff like that, those steer tires are retread. So, I mean, I don't know what else to tell you from a retread standpoint. Everybody has their connotations towards that stuff. The failure rate is the same as a new tire on a retread. It's about 0.06% or whatever it is. It's just hard to kind of explain. You know, you see the stuff laying on the side of the road, everybody thinks it's a retread. Well, if you see the little metal wires and stuff, retread doesn't have any metal. So if you see the little wires hanging out, it's not that the retread came off, it's that the tire came apart. 9 times out of 10 from being run under, inflated, or from hitting something on the road. I mean, Florida came real close to outlawing retreads because the governor kept seeing those things, and I think he was listening to his wife in his ear. But every time you see one with metal in there, that's not a retread issue. It's a casing problem, which is the original casing that tire was in.
How many service trucks y'all have?
We have 55 service trucks in the state. So if you all are ever on site, need a tire, call us. We'll have it out there 9 times out of 10 within an hour. Can't say we're going to be in Moultrie, Georgia within an hour. But anywhere around Atlanta, anywhere around the city, anywhere within 20, 30 miles of one of our facilities, we pride ourselves on service just like you guys do. We've got a lot of competition in our market just like you guys do. And the only way we can kind of separate ourselves is from a service standpoint. You get a tire anywhere. We do. We got 55 service trucks. We have about 20 P&D vehicles. And we have 4 OTR trucks, which are boom trucks that change the big earth moving tires. We foam fill tires. We do forklift tires, all that good stuff. Mobile. So we can come do that on site if anybody ever had that.
Mobile alignments also, right?
We do, yes, sir. That's not as big, and I'm glad you said that because, we used to have a lot more vehicles. We kind of made a conscious decision that we had a mobile mechanical that I think some of you folks are getting involved in. We use Steven a lot. We use you a lot up in Carter. Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but we do. We could cover y'all up in that stuff. Trailer repair, mobile brakes, stuff like that. If you all just want to send me an email, say, hey, we do this stuff, we're always looking for people that can do that. Because in the trucking business, as fleets get bigger and there are fewer owner operators out there, we see the growth of drop yards and stuff like that, where there's a huge need for mobile brake work, DOT inspections, lights, hubs, whatever it is. We have requests like that all the time from customers that we kind of turn down because we've centralized ours a little bit and kind of take care of our real big fleets that we do a ton of business with. And it's covered us up to the point where we don't necessarily have time to do some of the medium-sized stuff, the smaller stuff. So yeah, if you all do the mobile repair and stuff like it, let me know. We'll put you on the list, and whenever we have some drop yard out in the middle of nowhere, we'll definitely keep you in mind.
Anybody else got questions for Larry? All right. So
please call us. Yeah.
So we looked at kind of just rough numbers, and if there's 100 members, and we figured something like 6 wheel positions. What we figured the number was somewhere. I mean, this could be potentially if all TRAG members bought through Atlantic Commercial Tire, could be $10,000 or $15,000 annual infusion to our budget. And as Larry said, there's no stipulation that goes into our general budget. So, also want to thank Larry for sponsoring lunch today, and I know he's got to get back up to Forest Park. So Larry, thanks so much for being here and providing support.
Appreciate it. Thank you all. We look forward to the partnership.
So $3 on any tire and $5 on the fire service. I think it's a pretty.
And that's from people already buying from us. That's not new business. Yours count half. Because you buy too many.
Well, as an organization and membership, we all buy a lot of tires.
You do.
So we appreciate the opportunity for you guys to help us, and generate some non-dues revenue. We're always trying to figure that out. So thanks, Larry.
Yes, sir. Use the resources, guys. Call us if you have any tire related questions.
Yeah, I have been through there. It's been a while, but I've been through their retread shop, and even if you don't buy any tires, I mean, if you've ever been through any kind of manufacturing process and seen that, it's really cool. So,
if anybody has any 255 trailers that run 255, 70, 22.5s, that would be a good avenue to retread tires. The things are expensive as all get out, as you all know, because of the ply rate, right? They're an 18 ply, so you're paying all that FET. Retread, you don't pay FET. Casings are usually in real good shape. You can usually get a retread for somewhere around 150, 160 bucks, as opposed to 400 for a new tire. It'd be worth the shot, I think, to try them on like the 255 size. Call me with any questions. Stephen has my contact info.
Yeah, we're gonna put all that up on the website.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the presentation we kind of went over just for the framework, so you all can look at it.
You want your cell and your home number, or?
No.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you all.
What did you have? So do we want to shift? Yeah, we ain't supposed to get meetings. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and get started with the meeting. I'm going to go ahead and call it to order. I don't have to bang on that. Use that gavel. Let me know when
You don't have to.
Let me know when it's time to use that gavel.
It's arbitrary.
So we've already done the invocation. Does everybody have an agenda? And has everybody signed in?
Nobody-
sheets
Nobody has signed in.
Nobody signed in. So we'll get everybody to sign in. I'm not usually a huge fan of this, but since we got some new faces, why don't we go around the room, everybody introduce themselves. I'm Steve Welchel, track president, co-owner of Marietta Record Service.
I'm Chris Welchel, also co-owner of Marietta Record Service, and I am the new treasurer.
Jeremy Matthews Garage, owner of Carsville, Georgia. I am the new vice president.
I'm trying to do it.
Bart?
Mark Lundy, owner of Southside Record Service and secretary of TRAG.
Bill Howard, our director of service. Yeah.
He needs no introduction. This guy has been at TRAG for as long as I've been around, 25 years, and so I have over the last couple of months figured out that he's got an awful big foot. So we all feel a tremendous amount of gratitude for the years and years of service keeping this organization afloat. So thank you very much, Bill.
Is everybody signed in?
No, Phil, it doesn't sound good when they say years and years.
I know it doesn't.
I'm Mike Holland, State Director, TRAA. I'd like to invite anybody that's not a TRAA member to join. All you gotta do is get in touch with me and I'll get you the paperwork you need. We need all the members we can get in TRAG and TRAA. Thank you.
Adam Giles, Info in Moultrie, Georgia. District Director with TRAG. I appreciate everybody coming, the short crowd. I appreciate what TRAG's done and allowing us to work together closely. We'd like, if you hadn't joined, we appreciate if you would, or tell people about it. So we feel like we're making headway, sometimes in this area anyway. So if we can, the more we got, the better it can. So we appreciate you taking time and showing up.
Thanks again for hosting, Adam, setting all this up for us. And we're going to continue to try to move the meetings around.
Jimmy Kitchens, American Truck Parts, Douglas, Georgia.
And you're also a director. Yes, sir.
Andy Logan, Quality Record Service out of Albany. Jay White, San Antonio, here in Moultrie.
And I'm just Mama Noah.
Welcome.
Rachel Murray with Auto Ticket Direct. Sheila Brooks, I'm with Impulse. Sharnae White, I'm with Buckhead Towing. We've been members on and off the TRAG for about 10+ years now, and been pretty steady for the last couple of years. And just want to thank TRAG. Y'all always keep each other informed, I guess. But I'm just grateful for everything we get, and I know I call all the time if I have a question. So yeah, I'm glad we're glad.
Welcome, thank you. Welcome, everybody.
Would you like to get introduced?
All right, so we'll get right into the secretary's report. I'm sorry.
My name is Audrey Black, and I'm with Community Record Service in College Park, Georgia.
Jeff Paquette, Southside Record. And the director.
And a director.
And cameraman.
And camera.
And cameraman. Okay, I didn't leave anybody else out there. Let's go with secretary's report next. I got you. You don't want to do a presentation?
No.
The PowerPoint, etc. So everybody should have the secretary's report from the last meeting, and once everyone's had a chance to review it, if there's any questions or anything, let us know. Otherwise, I'll take a motion.
Make a motion we approve as presented.
I second it.
Bill made a motion, Mike seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? All right, motion carried.
First motion. That's it.
That was a good motion, guys. Thank you very much. You didn't sign in. Anybody else haven't signed in? All right, treasurer's report.
So everybody got a couple of handouts I did. So the kind of the main one I want to touch on is the profit and loss comparison. Again, it's being brand new at this, I'm still kind of getting my feet under me. But so I was kind of looking at the comparison of where we're at this time this year is the same as we were last year. And the numbers look way off because the net operating income is in the negative this year as opposed to last year. So I did a little digging, and what we found was that there was a big training class that garnered a very large donation from Matthew's Garage through the Rec Master training class, about $4,500. So if we had done something similar to that or put something like that together, all the other numbers would be fairly flat. So, things are kind of trucking along as normal, but as far as the donations go, we're a pretty good bit behind. So, like I said, just kind of getting our feet under us, getting all the numbers in front of us. And so we're going to be making a push to raise more money, basically, to put it simply. Membership drives, doing some more training classes. Those have been successful in the past. And, quite frankly, what keeps TRAG afloat is the donations. Outside of the memberships, it's the donations. And so we certainly appreciate all that we get through donations, and always looking for more. So that's kind of where we're at with that. As you can see on the balance sheet, we've got close to 15,000 in assets between our bank accounts, our PayPal account. So overall, I think we're doing too bad. I don't foresee there being any big expenses coming up other than the monthly payment to our lobbyist. That's kind of our big expense for the year, and we pay it monthly. So again, all ideas for fundraising are appreciated as we're moving forward to help build this thing and help it grow. And we'll be watching that really close. So, any questions on the P&L or the balance sheet?
Chris, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to catch you. Chris, on the income side, you got services 2,480. Can you kind of tell us what that?
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out just a contact page to try to get a explanation of what that is. But essentially, what's listed in the account is that some sort of correction. It's a negative expense, or it's a negative income as some sort of correction. So I'm digging into that to try to figure out what that is, because that was sort of the big thing that stood out to me as well.
Yeah, I think the overall numbers as far as the income looks pretty good. Obviously without that and the donation from Matthews from last year, would be actually ahead of that last year.
Correct.
Anybody else? Any other questions? Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make.
Mike, first. Second. Any other discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried. Another great motion.
I would like to have a comment, but I know that since I've been in your shoes as well, you've got huge job ahead of you, and I appreciate your effort. And I know there's a big learning curve, and you certainly have your work cut out for us.
Yeah.
That's true. So before Phil was president, he was treasurer for how many years?
Oh gosh, 15 it seemed like, but maybe not quite that long. It was a long time.
Seemed like longer than that.
It was a long time.
Well, Paige has definitely answered every one of my phone calls. I know she's not here today, but she's definitely been a big help.
So we've got listed next committee reports. I think I'd like to use this time to talk a little bit about where we see committees going forward. One of the challenges for the years that I've been involved in it has been, getting more participation from members, directors, the board, everybody. So we kind of, executive board met a month or so ago, kind of trying to lay out a little bit of what we thought, we wanted to try to accomplish going forward in this next term. One of the things we discussed was the committees, and we kind of boiled it down into 3 different committees. And we want to put it out there and try to get some volunteers, try to put together some really robust committees with folks that want to get more active and play a part in. We obviously have our legislative committee where we're going to combine the fundraising and the membership committee together as one. I feel like they're very well connected anyway. And then third committee is the training committee. So we want to put together a training committee that would be responsible for negotiating and managing and maintaining. We're going to talk a little bit more about that a little later, but helping us to sort of liaise between the different opportunities that are out there for training. We all spend a lot of, just like tires, we all spend a lot of money on training, and we want to try to see if, as an organization, we can add some value. So that I think really the only committee that's active at this point would be the legislative committee. Did you want to provide us with an update on that?
We've had some discussion with John and Mo about sort of plans for going into the next session. We've got meetings set up in August. Talking to them, so we really don't have any update other than what we shared last time. I feel like we have some good momentum going forward, and so going into the next session, we'll be way more prepared than we were last time. So those talks will continue in August, and we'll kind of get ramped back up. The cycle of the season, so not a whole lot going on right now, and not really a whole lot we can do. But we're going to start up in August again and just prepare ourselves a little more in advance than we did last time.
So, with that being said, we'd like for you guys to reach out to us and let us know what committees you guys are interested in serving on. Just know that we need all the help we can get. We got some pretty big initiatives we want to try to move forward. Any questions on any of that?
You're gonna say what kind of committees we want to form?
I did. Good.
Yeah.
Training.
Okay. I'm gonna keep my training.
Actually, I think the next order of business, easily distracted. I'm not real big on following scripts or anything, but so we have got to vote Phil in as our Region 1 director. So when Jeremy was elected as vice president, that left the Region 1 director open for the remainder of that term. And so I would like to.
We did reach out to several people though, and Phil was the only one that was willing.
Yeah, well, and Phil was frankly my first pick.
Well, mine too.
With all of his experience. And but anyway, so we're gonna call for a vote to appoint Phil as Region 1 director.
Second.
Any discussion? Do we need to ask Phil to leave?
You can leave. I can leave now. I mean, you're a big boy.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, welcome back,
Phil.
Phil.
I have a saying.
Yes.
Get out of the word.
I didn't have a saying.
Thanks again, Bill.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Phil.
How long you got, Jeremy?
All right, so do we have anything else on the committees? I know we had we had some discussion at the last meeting about the show and all out fundraising, membership. Anybody got any thoughts on that? We need to.
Are we doing Tennessee show?
That's a great question. I think that's probably next step. Is we need to get that committee formulated and start the process.
The budget rates, I wouldn't see why not.
Right. They don't. I think they provide.
So that'd be fundraisings would be handling that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Fundraising membership as one committee. We'd be Yeah, I mean, some of the things that we've done in the past, Jeff and I have worked on that committee for a while, but, you know, from membership standpoint, it is, you know, trying to find different ways of getting the message out to potential members, the folks that are reaping the benefits, but maybe, you know, not actually, membership or members.
Mike has a good name for those guys.
Yeah.
Ride for free.
You know, the shows are an opportunity to get our name out there. In the past, we've had items donated that we've either done a sale for, or, you know, we've had a couple of raffles that we've done. I know we had at least one. I've seen the raffle pretty good last year. 2,000.
The raffle? Are you talking about the show?
This is the show where we're at.
Oh, yeah, we did, this a little over $2,000.
So much work going up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's free.
It's free. We just gotta get, you know, we gotta get the items. We gotta start that process.
Does anybody remember what we made off the online raffles we did with like Smyrna?
Yeah, we did a couple of those. I think we did pretty good. I mean, I remember we didn't get as much as we wanted, but
Yeah.
it was, you know,
It's money.
it was a couple of grand. So, you know, we raffled, the light bar.
One of them was a light bar, and then Blackburn's, they did a couple of rooms at the Florida show. So that,
Something else. The first one.
I thought it was TV.
Anyway,
anyhow,
so, you know, we need some ideas, some creative folks to help us on that committee, ways of raising, you know, you'll hear us talk about non-dues revenue.
This way, our associate members, they some way could get up about something to wrap.
Absolutely.
How many we got?
Associate members, what are you? 15, 20 maybe?
I think it's about somewhere 15 or maybe one or two less. Right now.
So 10, 15.
Some kind of item, I don't want you to do about three.
Yeah, they can give
Free
them
your insurance.
donate insurance.
Yeah. So on the training side of things, I do have an update on that. We had a meeting with Rec Master while we were in April in Florida, and sat down and had a discussion with them to kind of talk about a number of issues. But number one was the trip training. So for those of you that are involved with trip, it's mandated to be a part of the program. You have to go through the training. So what we had asked for was we wanted to partner with them and essentially have TRAG, you know, benefit as sort of the host. We had a couple of our members who were willing to have the space to do the training, had the casualties, they were setting all that up, and they were willing to donate the credits back to TRAG. And as we mentioned before, we had a really successful class up in Cartersville, and then we kind of got a little sideways when we did the second class down in Newton. Southside had hosted. So we wanted to get that sorted out, and ultimately, I wanted to find out, you know, are they interested in partnering with us, because we're, as a group, we're spending lots of money with Recmaster through the trip training and through their other classes, and they were very much interested in working a deal out with us. So as part of the training committee, we're going to have those folks negotiate directly with Recmaster, Wes Wilburn's group, and really any other training organizations that are out there, and we want to have essentially TRAG be the host. So we'll start to run the back office piece through TRAG. So whereas before, you know, Jeff and Bart would have to try to get all the members to pay through them, and so we're going to start running that through this committee and have TRAG, you know, help to support it and So you'd pay your fee to TRAG, and the host credits would then, go back through in TRAG. So that meeting went really well. We had, I know Paige is working with Wes to try to put together something similar. And as you guys know, it's a pretty big deal trying to put that together. So that's why I want to put this committee together. They can help formulate those arrangements. We also talked to, for those of you that are familiar with the Miller Industries that does, they have a couple of different things they do. One is their rotator school. But they also have I think they call it a product demonstration, where they'll come to us, and they do it in Ohio and Florida and Texas, and it's been a pretty good opportunity for those associations. So basically, you get enough people, and you come to the class, you send your guys out there. Their training is a little different. They're more heavy duty centric than like some of the level 2, 3 and rec maps. We also want to extend that, to the NRC folks. Jeremy and I have talked about, he represents NRC. We'd like to have, everybody. We'd like to have a training course of all sorts every year in the state of Georgia. And I think that, we could potentially raise, who knows, it could be another 10, 15,000 a year that we could have, running through to help us with this offset this P&L. So that's the hope from the training standpoint. Did I miss anything?
I've been talking to Terry Beatty at Hazmat Network. He wants us to do a hazmat class as well. So when we get the committee together, they can reach out to him about the details. Yeah, it's a 40-hour hazmat class.
So the idea is to kind of try to organize that a little bit more through TRAG. And again, anybody that's interested in participating in that on those committees, let us know.
Can we back up real quick?
Yes, sir.
On the legislative committee, I know you and I and Paige are currently on it. Are we, anybody else that we know of that's currently on that committee?
Well, the last time we sort of shuffled the deck, Jeremy's also on it, and so is Audrey.
That's right. I'm willing to stay. Does anybody else said?
I think I want to drop to the training.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to head up the training.
So I thought, rather than do it now, since there's a lot of folks aren't here, I'll try to get some feedback and set that up. The thing about legislative committee is that there's a number of meetings that you can't have 6 or 8 people in there. You can only have a select few, and so. But what we need to do starting now is to get feedback on the direction. Right, we want to make sure that we're getting the membership's involvement and participation in the direction that we want to try to go with.
Chris, one more question for you. I'm going to back up to the financial end. I know Paige had a class. Did she already done it?
Just pointing that out to Jeremy, and I forgot all about that class, and I even sent drivers, and I haven't heard anything back, so I need to follow up with her.
I sent some drivers too, so.
I need to follow up with her and Wes about how that was laid out.
So then that's not part of that contributions number, right?
Couldn't be because the class was
It was in like late April or early May, maybe.
yeah, late April.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so then there's possibly some more in revenue.
Possible.
It should be.
Yeah, I need to follow up with her and Wes about what that agreement was.
So I have a question.
Yes, I did. I want to know, in terms of the membership drive, I don't think this might even be a, well, I thought it was appropriate since we were talking about fundraising. And you may have hit on it. What is the footwork like in our organization for the other record services in the state? I guess I've been to TRAG meetings where it's like 1 million records there. And I can't imagine that all of them aren't willing to participate, you know, as far as concerned, purposeful fundraising. I understand about the lobbyists and definitely, you know, see the benefits in that, but I'm just thinking maybe in terms of fundraising, maybe there's a disconnect with the actual sustainment of the membership, you know, how it affects them. Because I mean, just because I can see the benefits doesn't mean that they can. I think they do. That's why they're here. But you know, we people would give. I know we would, you know, to a cause that's really going to push TRAG to the next level. So I guess what's the footwork? You know, like how are we making that connection out in the community?
I think that the challenge has been, as far as TRAG is concerned, is there's a handful of people that's essentially have to carry the torch, and you know, we've talked for a number of years. Before becoming president this term, I was vice president, so it's been a challenge for the 25 years I've been around, but it's finding the time and the ability to communicate that message that you're talking about to the prospects and to the members that are out there that are the silent members. You know, I had several calls today from members that were planning to come, but something happened in their business, and or you know, in a personal, and they couldn't make it. So,
especially like, you know, you think about the silent auctions or the different ways they can fundraise through raffles. Why is every business not donating for that? You know, I mean, not that we just have random things laying around, but it's just, that's something, you know, kind of an inroad into creating more wealth for us to use throughout the year. Because so much of it is getting kind of souped up by our legislative needs, you know, so.
I think.
I wouldn't mind being a part of that.
Well, we're definitely taking note of that. Okay. So we appreciate that. But, you know, I think some of it is the inundation of emails. You know, we send out, I personally try to protect everybody's identity and put the email addresses to where people can't reply to all and all that. Occasionally that does go out, and so we want to apologize for that. Ultimately, you know, I think that's part of it. A better way to communicate with the members. You know, it'd be nice if we had a little more participation. We're planning on having the meetings rotate through all of the regions over the next. So every 2 years, you have a meeting in every region. And the idea would be to get more members in that region at the meeting for the face-to-face. We've talked about a number of other ideas about asking regional guys to, aside from this meeting, hey, you know, try to get 8 or 10 guys, and we'll come Sunday. Phil's done an amazing job the last couple of years, or really longer than that, doing his training classes. We get all sorts of non-members at the training classes, and he does a great job of converting those. So we'll continue doing that. But to answer the question, how do we get more involvement? That's the $1 million question. It's tough because the business, the industry that we're in is different. But we definitely appreciate you being here, and we'll look forward to getting some more ideas and help that we need. Sure.
And which committee did you do what's your name?
Fundraising membership.
Took it down right there.
That's right, fundraising.
I mean, if there's anybody else that has something they want to join now, tell us now. But we're going to send some stuff out, try to get some feedback, and we may have to volunteer some people, but we definitely appreciate that. What else do we have? President's report, committee reports. I think that was all I had.
Yeah.
So that brings up the open discussion for members. Anybody got anything?
I was talking to the president of the Massachusetts Association last week, and they have a site that's actually been taken over by, I don't know who, something it's called, I picked up the wrong sheet. The website is ttirs.com, And it's a national database to report close calls for accidents. You've got a guy working on the side of the road. You know, that we're tracking fatalities. And I think we just had another the other day. So I think the target is they're figuring there's going to be 60 fatalities in our industry on the roadside this year by the numbers they've already gotten. The TTRS is tracking close calls. So if it's involved in an accident and nobody's killed or injured, they still want to track that for data that they're trying to acquire. So if you just go to that website, if you have anybody can report it, you'll have all the info of what happened. Just go there and report it. What it is. Like I say, it could be a driver, it could be the owner of the company, a manager. It doesn't really matter who's doing it. And I think somehow two people go in there and report the same thing, they're going to be able to figure out the data and figure it out.
All right, any other open discussion?
I know that recently there was and I don't know if you plan to bring this up, but there was a spirit ride that came through the state. And there was a lot back and forth. I know there was a lot of folks, towing companies that participated in the spirit ride. Both, some of them were carrying the casket, some of them were just part of the parade and part of the festivities and what have you. And so I know that I was not available to participate or to send a driver. We were a little short-handed and we were a little bit busy, so we weren't able to do that. But I know some of the folks here in this room did, and some other folks that are not here were able to participate. And I thought that was it was a good thing for us to be represented by our individual members. If maybe, I don't know if we were there officially as TRAG or not, but as long as we got TRAG members there, good quality TRAG members there, I feel like we were adequately represented. Even though some of us don't think so, or there are some that don't think so. But I just want to say, I thought it's a good thing that we get that coming through the state, and it really goes toward the whole move over initiative that we're trying to push, and we've been continuing to try to push. And hopefully, the next time it does come through, we can stay involved, or maybe we can, I don't know, adopt some sort of an official position or sponsorship or something. But being involved as towers to me is what the most important part of that is, because it's the towers and the drivers that we hire that we're trying to protect and look out for. So, anyway, I just want to mention anybody that was involved with that. I appreciate you guys being there and being a part of that, and hopefully we can be a part of that next year.
Yeah, so, go ahead.
I didn't have time to go, but then something happened. I didn't have time. I got in Bethlehem and went to Commerce with them. There's about, I guess, 12 or 15. The state troopers done a super job about blocking the roads and the intersections. And it's a good thing. The more we keep doing things like that, the better we are. And it's just one of those things that it's hard to take time during the middle of the week to do things like that. That's the way it works.
Yeah, so I agree with Phil. I thought that obviously I took a little bit of heat over that deal. I personally wasn't available to go down there. I felt as though TRAG was represented by individual members, including board members. I did not support. It was brought up to me. It was asked of me for TRAG to donate some money, a small amount of money. I personally did not support TRAG donating to the Spirit Ride because no one could answer the question to me, where's the money going? Where's the money? Where does it end? Who's it benefiting? Personally, I'm all for the move over law. Any initiative that we can do to promote safety for our people, I'm all for that. I sit personally on the board of directors for the museum, the Hall of Fame Survivor Fund up in Chattanooga, and have for a number of years. I think that whole situation, Chris and I personally had a truck in the Spirit Ride, so I just want to apologize for all the nonsense that came from that. And again, I want to do everything we can as a board to protect your email. You should not be getting blast emails like that. It's very unprofessional, and we're going to do everything we can to protect that. You can rest assured that we support, Chris and I personally support, and TRAG as an organization supports any and all efforts to raise awareness for the move over law for the safety of our guys. Doesn't necessarily mean that we will align ourselves, at least monetarily, when we don't know where it's your money. So if we don't know where it's going, we want to be good stewards of your money. Does anybody have any questions on that for me specifically? I'd be happy to answer that.
They just didn't give you an answer?
Can't get an answer.
Can't get it.
We were all in agreement though. The entire board was in agreement on the issue. It was not. It was all, everybody was no. Yeah.
So but it was just no to writing the check for $200. That's it. It wasn't no to supporting the cause, or again, send trucks down there. And I think Phil's right. If it comes through again, we could, all of us as a board could, participate a little bit more in the event itself. And I think we would, it's just, if I'm gonna sign a check out of your checkbook, then I need to know where the money's at.
Just on the train, it has to be, it's not air money, it's no air money.
No.
I think you're right in it too. I don't know, don't, American Coleman have something to do with it strong? I think they're the ones that
They do.
I give them my time, I didn't give them money.
Right.
That's how I support it.
Sure, and that's exactly what we did.
That's right.
We gave money, we paid one of our guys to go down there. He gave some of his time, but we didn't personally write any check. If there's nothing else on that, then we can put that to bed. But yes, I don't want to echo Phil's sentiments. I want to thank everybody that was part of that. Anything else on open discussion?
I'll throw this out there too. I'm having a plan on another class, probably in August or September. I'm trying to nail down a location and an exact date that works. It's probably on Saturday. That seems to work best for everybody's attendance, that is. And
talking A&B?
Yeah, another A&B class. And right now,
I'm still gonna use my building.
Well, the last one's in Chattanooga, and everybody kept asking me, why are we up here to do a Georgia class? And so the kind of the consensus I was getting was they wanted something south.
Yeah.
So I'm probably going to look at somewhere around the Forsyth-Macon area. So I'd like to do it in my office. It'd be very convenient for me.
When did you want to do it?
Sometime around late August, September. I mean, you got Labor Day there to think about, so you got to miss.
What about the idea of doing that before our next meeting?
How long does that class take?
It's usually about 3.5 hours at the most. And we were talking about that. I could do like it start at 9 o'clock.
Be done by what?
Do it at 9, be done by 12, and then maybe do a lunch and the meeting after if you wanted to do that.
Because we typically get a lot of people come to the class that aren't members. Hopefully they would stay over.
Yeah, the last time we did one in Forsyth at the training center, we had standing room only, but we didn't have but half that at the meeting. Yeah, because that's when our buddy got frisky, but still, it was a very well attended class. And if we'd done that prior to the meeting, we probably could have talked a lot of them to stay in for the meeting. So
yeah,
coordinate that.
Okay, I think we should definitely try that. I mean, because we did, the one in Chattanooga, meeting's over, and then here comes a couple people. So I agree with that. I think we should do that. Try.
Now I think that was during the week too, wasn't it? Wasn't that a weekday class? So that was on a Saturday?
Yeah.
Well, the classes seem to work well on Saturday, but if you don't want the meeting on Saturday, let me know. We'll see what work out. We'll talk about it.
We can do it on Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got one quick thing. This Saturday, there's a car show benefit for Jeff Underwood.
Yeah.
I hope there's no wrecks in Atlanta because it sounds like just about every rotator around is going to be down there for this. Sounds like there's a lot of participation. It's June 16th at Peach Park in Byron, Georgia, 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. you don't know, Jeff got bit pretty hard by a loaded drive shaft and sent him to the hospital real quick. I guess it's probably been about a month and a half now. And he's, last I heard, last update was he was still in a rehab program, but it was a pretty bad one. So a lot of the guys, a lot of the companies and guys are sending a lot of money and a lot of trucks that way. So if anybody wants to participate, it's this Saturday at Peach Park in Byron, Georgia, 12 to 4 p.m.
And Byron?
Yep.
Thanks, Jeff.
And that info is on TRAG's Facebook page if you need to write it down.
You said 12 to 4?
Yes.
Yeah, remind me, let's push another email out too.
Yeah.
In case that pushed out.
Hey,
We can announce
From what I
that.
understand, a ton of trucks are meeting up around South Atlanta or just below Atlanta to meet up and go together.
if you just shoot me an email, I'll throw it on the website. I can get it
Okay.
on the website.
Okay.
I haven't been getting anything to put on the website. I just forgot to do it.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. That came up through at the museum too. It's not survivors fund related, but I think Kathy heard about it. She mentioned it in either the email or something, but I sent them that thing, so those guys have to do. Any other open discussion? We got a few regional directors here. I think this is one of those things I think we need to, usually we go around the room, most people don't have anything. Maybe try to create some more formality around that, maybe. One of the things I hope to be able to do is to provide a little bit more support to directors, a little bit more substance. In other words, how can we help you guys in your region to try to stir up some interest and et cetera. So is there any regional directors that have any updates?
I need some clarification on exactly what Paige is doing with Wes, because at one point I was asked to approach Wes, and I have, and we're discussing a class in Noonan in November.
Okay.
But I need to know what Paige is. I have no idea what Paige has set up, so we got to get on that same page.
I'll get back to you on that.
Okay. Okay.
I think that she just had her own deal going on
Okay.
with him, and then it was like, hey, we got all this. So that's part of the reason why I want to do the committee. Let's get it all on one source and one team of folks that are pulling together to get.
She had a pretty good deal with him, so if you can work out, I'm sure he wouldn't have a problem doing that, honoring that same deal.
One thing that we discussed coming down for the region directors is if y'all want to have a meeting in your region, something that wasn't actually a board meeting or something, if you want to have a meeting with your fellow towers, one of us would attend or all of us would to help you with that. We can push out some flyers for you, we can help set it up and facilitate making it happen. So if there's any interest there, let us know. We'll be glad to help you with that.
Well, I think in my region, we're rural South Georgia. Here's the obstacle I got. I've been out and tried to get people to join and talk to them, and they'll say, well, that's just for those guys up there in Atlanta. What are they going to do for me? And, I've explained the weight loss to them, how we got that changed. I've described other legislation that we have fought and beat and everything. Well, that doesn't matter down here. And, we still got a lot of guys out there help process vehicles. But we let them sit out there for 2 or 3 years. Nobody claims them. We get them crushed. Yeah, I mean, you hear it constantly. And the guys down here, and I've had some join and they'll stay a member a year or two and they'll fall off. Well, I didn't get anything out of it. Well, you don't get anything out of anything unless you put something into it. Most things like that. You got to put some effort there somewhere. But the tire presentation today was great for people in Atlanta. But what did it do for the people in South Georgia? But if the people in South Georgia don't want to have anything put into it, they're not going to get anything out of it. It's a two-way street. And if we're going to get membership south of Macon in rural areas, we're going to have to, you got to give people something what they want. I mean, to get them to a meeting, you got to give them about 85% of what they want, 15% of what they need. I mean, to keep their attention and to get something. So I don't know how to get to these people. I mean, I've talked to some guys that run some big operations and they're saying, well, we're not gonna get anything out of it. And I've just beat my head against the wall trying for them to understand that they do. But they're like Mike said, they're hitchhikers.
And
My favorite word. Yeah.
But if they come to a meeting, they'll get something out of it. There's always something I learn when I go to a meeting. Just one thing, it might make me $10 or it might make me 10,000.
But one thing I was wondering if we could, some of us down here, I've been through and I've got phone numbers and fax numbers and I've faxed them applications and I've done this, and I've emailed, and done everything. If there was a way we could maybe get on some of those emails, and we could pick up emails on people's websites and advertisements and everything else and supply them to whoever sends out the newsletter, and let them just add them in there. It's not going to cost anything. It's going to cost money to mail a flyer. But if you just add them into our newsletter email or something, maybe let these people start seeing what happens and what goes on. Because, I mean, that's the first thing they tell you. Well, that's just those guys up there in Atlanta. We don't get nothing out of that.
And for the second part of that, I can feel what he's saying, because a year ago, when I was not involved, it's like what you said. I had no idea about abandonment process. We were pulling our hair out. You talk to these other record companies and their cars would sit there 30 days and then it disappeared, and I'm like, well, how does that work? How does this work? And then Phil educated me and said, well, buddy, I can tell you, if you follow that suit, there'll be some guys with black suits showing on at your place there with padlocks, and they'll be helping you out real quick. So, I mean, I can speak for our staff, and I'm a small record company. We gain knowledge, in his abandonment meeting and through TRAG and Jeff and everybody that got on board and helped us. And not to say that the one that was sitting here needed to hear this. He just got up a little bit too early. Well, you get a lot out of TRAG. It's what you want to get out of TRAG. And when you go to these smaller companies or go to these record companies that are just rules don't apply, it's basically like he said, what do we get out of it? It's not like you're handing them a free code every day. No, you're handing them bylaws, and they'll say, well, and the hardest thing we have to convince them is the law in Atlanta is the same thing in South Georgia. It don't change. It's that we're not out of line here, guys. Just because the people in Central Atlanta, South Atlanta, North Atlanta, that law transfers down here. And I told one other day, I said, Georgia State Patrol law is the same in Gwinnett County as it is in Coppell County. There's no difference. And he was just baffled about, well, what's an abandonment? What do you do with this process? Even our magistrate court, I mean, nobody fills out this paperwork out. And what do you do? My secretary go through that day. So TRAG is definitely something that you do get something out of. It's just how you want to put it in. And I don't know down here, like he said, there's a line about buried. And I've said this in plenty of meetings to y'all. I think TRAG would have plenty of potential, but nobody wants to. There's nothing I can get.
Y'all think it's got anything to do with the gnats? Well, I don't know. Maybe, Jeremy mentioned it. If we had an abundance of time, if I didn't have a business to run and we could, Bill didn't have one, we could get on the phone and try to call these guys, come down here, try to go see them, talk to them about those things. But, I share your frustration. We beat our heads against the wall trying to get participation. Maybe we should turn it around the other way and ask, what do you want? What does South Georgia want? I mean, Fred Berg, Quali, and those folks have been big supporters of, and they were around when my parents were involved in. So we have a presence down here through those guys, and obviously through you. Yeah, Fred was president. But I don't know the answer, and I don't think any of us does, but it kind of begins with trying to identify not just what we've done, but what do you want us to do? How can TRAG help you? Let's ask them that question. And try to find time where part of bringing the meeting down here was to try to get below the gnat line and see if we can.
And then you'll tell them how TRAG has helped. Well, that doesn't matter anyway. Yeah, that's their response. You tell them, well, you can buy a permit now, you can go across the state of Georgia. Well, I'm not gonna get but about 20 miles from the house anyway, you know? We don't have any trouble with that way out here. I mean, that's what you get from so many of them. But you got so many little guys that's running around, got one road back, and he gets in a Volkswagen that's wrecked, and the first thing he wants to do is ride it around town for about 2 hours with an orange lights on, with his amber lights on, and show everybody. And he's happy. But, you know, you got some good people too, but you just, it's hard to generate any interest with it.
I think if you just tell them, you want to know what TRAG can do, tell them to host a meeting. We'd be happy to come down there. We do all of our meetings down here. Somebody hosts the meetings. I don't mind the drive.
I say that's another thing with this thing. This should be a promise now. You know, I've reached out to just about anybody and everybody that we could. We sent emails, we sent letters, you know, on top of what you've sent. And, you know, stating, hey, free lunch, you know, or this or that. I mean, it does, you know, what else can you do, you know, as far as that goes. I've actually, I mean, most of them, I went to people and, you know, tried to tell myself a little bit about what it was, you know. But they just look at you like a deer in the headlights, you know, and it's just kind of like, okay. You know, and then like you said, you got people, and I'm not classifying anybody, but you got to roll back their snacks truck, and they get them 1 or 2 a day, and they ride around, and half of them break the law when they finally hook up to them. You know, there is no, half of them ain't got every lights that work. The second thing is there is no lights on the back of the car or changed properly. I mean, yeah. So that's a little frustrating when you go to them and talk to them and say, hey, we do offer, you know, some laws and some rules and can help you with this right here. Because if you do get stopped, you know, or something like that, or one of your guys get hurt, here's something you can, you know, look at, try, you know, turn around to them and let them show you the right way. That, you know, all of y'all been helpful to me. So pick up the phone and even call me if you got a question. But most of them, they look at you like, why do we need you? You know, we're doing okay. You know, and I'm not there for that. You know, I'm there to help them. You know, like I said, I don't really know which way to go. I don't know what.
But you know, that's just like the fees. I mean, half the time people don't even know what they're paying for. You know, and I totally get it. You know, it's for those guys in Atlanta, but there's, you know, we're helping make decisions on what those fees are going to be like today and in the future. You know, that helps this bottom line too. That's money for everybody. You know, so everybody understands money.
Well, and the thing that I did tell them too is as TRAG grows with their participation, we gain knowledge, you know, throughout all of it. If TRAG has operating money that we can go and look or research a question, you know, if I'm sitting here doing all the barking but not contributing or anything like that, it's hard for y'all to take time or money to go and research something and find out what you need to find out about it, and then go back and hand it to somebody that don't want to pay. I'm not, you know, I understand the circle, and I think everybody else does too, but it's hard to do that with less funds, you know, and that's why I tell people, hey, if we can get on board and push TRAG, then that gives them the opportunity to create situations where, you know, hey, we got more training classes we can come to, or you got opportunities to show drivers, rollback drivers, heavy operators, or anything like that you can offer these people, and they just look at you. You know, it's just, like I said, the record business has been the most challenging thing I've ever took on. So, and TRAG is very knowledgeable and it's very useful. But there's that line, you know, and like you said, I think that y'all have some of that problem too, you know, in the northern area, in the northern part of the state there. So,
Well, I think, you know, ask them the question, how would you like TRAG to help you? How can TRAG help you? I think, you know, Mark, Jeff spent some time, and Chris and I got to know a lot of the folks that are running the SSTA and a number of other associations, and trying to, you know, do some best practices sharing and things like that. You know, that's part of the reason why we switched it up, had lunch first and then the meeting. We're interested in doing different things, making changes. You know, we're not trying to do the same old thing because that's the way we've always done it. We want to try to generate new participation. And let's find out why.
Well, one thing is I know we got a strong presence in Atlanta with Moultrie, and I've known them a long time. But you've also got strength in numbers. And
We spend a lot of money for those people. We get a few months' work out of it. Not saying it's not important work, but I think if you hire a good marketing person to be your executive director and give them a base pay and base it on membership and let them get out and go to the state of Georgia, not Atlanta, not just South Georgia, go through the state of Georgia. Every time he sees somebody stop and pick up $350, that you have enough strength in numbers to offset the clout that they carry up there. The clout they carry up there is different than the clout that constituents carry. If you go to Atlanta, you go to your state representative's office and you knock on the door, and those two guys are sitting in there, and the receptionist, the secretary says, Mr. Senator, you got so-and-so here, you know what happens? Those guys have to go out the back door, the constituent comes in, because those guys can't vote for them. They'll always see the constituent before they'll see the lobbyists. And when they got their neighbor coming to talk to them, it'll carry more weight than any lobbyist you got, I'm telling you.
Well, and that's a great point. We've talked about that. Some of these programs that, we're talking about, it's which came first, the chicken or egg. We've been very reluctant to make any changes with Mo and John. So how do we do both? That's really, I think.
And can you afford to do that?
Well, I think we can, if we can, get some of these other, I think between training opportunities that we've got, Phil's class, some of these other ideas, what does it take to get a part-time ED in there that can do some of that stuff? Make phone calls, because emails, get so many.
Well, that's another thing that I've learned too. Emails is good, but face-to-face,
right,
representation of what TRAG is and what we're about and what we can do for them if they allow us, if they join that. And I understand when that first hit, if they, wow, $350 or this or that, why we want to contribute. But let them see that, not every day are they're going to hear our voice. If they have a question, they're not going to see a face. If there's something that once a month that we had somebody go around, hey, what are you, questionnaire or anything like that, 6 or 10 questions, you could follow up with that. And I strongly believe what you said, people in numbers stand up more than power. I mean, if you override that, if you got people, you still got power. You got also more opinions, but still you still have the revenue to do what we need to do in Atlanta too. That's just my thoughts on it. What are your thoughts, Shane? I mean, you've been around a long time. Y'all been.
We face the same thing in the Albany area that you're talking about around here. When you start talking about the TRAG Association, they just kind of look at you, maybe listen to what you got to say, but nobody around Albany, once we deal with a bunch of the little single operators and what have you, most of them are like you're talking about, they're not. And I plan on going back to Albany and personally going to all of them and standing in their office and talking to them about TRAG and seeing if I can't sell it to them. Somehow or another get them to buy in on it and see what we can do. I don't know that that's been done in the Albany area, but that's my intentions when I get back to start that process of going to all of our local towers and see if I can just personally sit down and meet with them and explain to them what we are, what TRAG is all about.
So one of the things I think you need to consider, and that's a great idea, but the problem is some of your people that you go see are going to look at you as an adversary. If they don't have somebody like Jimmy's talking about to represent TRAG, in addition to you getting them in the door, they're going to discount you when you go out the door because we get it all the time. As soon as you turn around, that's going in the garbage, and they'll never give it a second thought. So I agree.
Like solidarity and brand, why am I a part of this? Yeah, we're all competitors, you know what I'm saying? But there's still a solidarity in the industry, and that's where people give their money, is the solidarity of it. That's where we give our money. So where those are the bridges that we're missing in very valuable parts, just like this part of Georgia, like people want to become a part of something bigger than themselves. They want their business to grow. Anybody that has a business don't want to make the same amount they made last year.
But at the same time, they don't want to feel threatened by their neighbors.
They don't. They
They don't
don't.
want to feel threatened by their competitors,
Yeah.
even though, and look, when it took 3 visits from Dallas Way for me to get in. I know, it's just like any other salesman. You gotta see them, you gotta go see them, you gotta sell.
Yeah.
But, it's an intangible product that we offer. It's not something you can hold in your hand. You can't put it on plate meetings. You can't ride down the street. So, it's just one of those things that's very hard to sell. And it is a different mindset and a culture north of the mat line, just like Stephen says. It's obviously it's not tied to the mat line, but it's those mats, I'm telling you. But when you get down there,
We know what carpetbagger looks like.
that's right. When you get down there, they're more spread out. They're smaller operators generally. And so, it's a different clientele. Do you want to consider having the meetings down here on Saturday? Because maybe it's easier for those guys to get Saturday meetings versus weekday meetings. When you get to Atlanta, it's more of a weekday kind of an event. So, that may be something to be considered. Do you change the meeting day around depending on what part of the region or what part of the state you're in? Having an EVP, I think, is a great idea. So it's all about whether it's in the budget or not. I proposed that. I mean, we worked with an EVP when I first started TRAG until, Jerry left and we decided to try it without one. 04, 05. So we've been 10, 11 years without an EVP. And boy, am I feeling it. But, it would make life for all of us easier, especially you guys, if you have an EVP that could coordinate the meetings and do all the work. So, but making that happen and getting that in the budget is a major challenge, especially if you decide to keep Mo and John for another 3 years or whatever the number is. And their contract's coming up very soon. So that decision is going to have to be talked about. But that's, again, I go back to what everybody else is echoing in here. We've had this challenge for years, and every association has membership challenges. But I agree with Steve. Ask them, what do you want? What do you want us to do for you? Yeah, okay, they're discounting what we've already done. Okay, maybe it is about what we can do going forward. Well, let's talk about the future versus the history of the past. What is it that you want? Give us a wish list. We can't even seem to get that.
Yeah, well, I
No,
that's what you hear.
that's exactly right. So I think that's a challenge no matter what. You're always going to have those few. You're going to have those members coming and going. The one thing that I have found in these classes, and I wish Paige were here, she'd tell you, most people come in, they're hungry for information, they're hungry for that knowledge of what to do in this particular situation. And then for whatever reason, abandoned vehicles bring a lot of tow companies together. And they're all wanting to know how to do this, how to do this, how to do this. But once they learn that and they pay their membership, next year they might not re-up because they don't care about the other stuff that TRAG's doing. All they want to know is how to abandon those cars. Now they got that process down. Bye, have a nice day.
But then again, they might. If we had, if we had that EVP or somebody that could reach back out to them, hey, we know you came to class last year, it's FaceTime versus another email. It's all of those things. Unfortunately, time is not on our side. So
you can delete the email and burn it. You hang up on the guy. Well, he's standing there in front of you. Then he asks you for the check.
Yeah.
After he's already spent about 30 minutes with you. What you gonna do? You gonna write him a check?
Well, and especially if you know deep down you're getting something.
Yeah.
Some of those folks know they're getting something, and they think the hitchhiker. They know, well, they're going to do it anyway. Why not join? I think that it's a great discussion, and we are going to be pursuing trying to find somebody that has a marketing background, that has a sales background, that can help with the organization, with keeping all of us, on track and moving forward. And that starts with, I think, identifying where do we want to go as an organization. Folks that are participating, where do we want
Sound like a gym membership, but is there any way we could sign up with a credit card and just have it in the fine print? It auto renews. Unless you notify us, not to do it next year, it's going to.
That's the little bit I know about the auto renew and holding credit cards is a challenge.
Okay.
Just because you got to hold on to the number and all that stuff.
And actually, I think for consumers, you can't hold them. In Georgia now, I don't think a consumer can hold someone to that auto renewal anymore. But if it just goes through and they don't dispute it, you're fine. You know, there's nothing saying you can't do it. Just if they just, you know, turn around and say, hey, I screwed up, I'm a month late, didn't want to do it, you do have to refund it. So I don't think it's anything shady. You know, I mean, it's it's just take the yearly thought process out of, I've got to send another check, you know, and just make it that much easier to pay the bill.
It's definitely something we should look at.
You know what, another thing I was thinking about, I think my first TRAG meeting was in maybe 06 or something like that. And every time there's like a major training, especially on the abandoned vehicle process, it's always a lot of people, a lot of bodies, but it's so much information. I just think we're giving out too much information at once. I mean, why do you need all that? I mean, just because we know, you have to sparse it out. And that type of information you really do anyway, because it's not like it's complicated. It has nuance, you know? I mean, I think anybody can learn it, but it still has nuances. But I think there's 12 months in a year, you know? There's plenty of space in the year to teach these little pieces that really add to all of our businesses, you know? And I know for me, I get it all and I'm overwhelmed and I've got to go research and I do it every day, you know? So it's kind of like, I think that those are the pieces. When people belong to organizations, people are used to getting things in pieces, you know? We don't have to give them all of it at the same time. If we slice that thing up into 12 slices, you can get a little piece every month. And then you can kind of gain interest, you know, because I think everybody in here can bring in another company. You know, that would be easy to do, but what is the sustainment like over time? Membership's never going to be easy, but it needs to be purposeful. You know, people always need to be getting something. And if they're not, if they find these holes in what they're getting, they don't renew or they don't come on board. Or they'll come to a free meeting and get all your information. You know what I mean? You wouldn't even know it. I'm just being honest. I mean, because I know I can do it. I choose not to because I think we all value, you know, but how long did it take for us to get there before we really saw the value? So, you know, slice that thing. You give out, I'm telling you, that you know that thing like the back front of your hand, you know?
So why not pre-register for that class so many days ahead and send them a pamphlet with, you know, the basic terms and stuff and say, look, you need to come to class. You need to know these basic terms so we're all on the same page. So you're not starting at the very bottom.
Exactly.
They already have a little bit of base knowledge.
Essentially, that is marketing. I mean, with a question in somebody's mind running around, that basically sparks interest that wasn't there. Like, oh God, how many times have I had that question? You could have put a question at the bottom of that email that got sent out, you know, and I've been like, yes, I'm coming for that answer. I drove 3.5 hours to get for that answer, you know, because I know there's going to be plenty of knowledge in the room.
Well,
I like to see that.
You've been in the class, so do we do a decent job of trying to sell the association?
I think that.
Or is there more that we need to do there?
I do think you need to do more there, but I think because you give out so much good information, it's overwhelming to, as this gentleman was pointing out, you know, smaller businesses who feel like they don't use all that information, but then they get a little piece here, a piece there, or something they didn't know. But I just think that on one end, yes, I can see the value in it because everything we talk about touches home for our business, you know, in Atlanta. But then I'm still overwhelmed, and I can only imagine if I do it all the time, 24/7. You know, the person who's not exactly doing it 24/7 is trying to get it. Right. Everybody's used to getting. People pay their bills every month. You know, we don't pay it for the year. So just slice that thing.
And I guess that's one of the reasons I wanted to have try to have like 3 to 4 classes a year, so that people won't come to the first one and maybe they just didn't catch it all and they come to another.
Well, like for instance, I'll give you, I think it was about a year ago, we had a really huge, it was like, I swear 150 people in the room is what it felt like. Mm-hmm. And we went through that whole abandonment process. I would have come 2 days. I would have done 1 day for derelicts as separate, you know, even though, because things change all the time. We don't find out till we go to the courthouse half the time. And if this organization is up on that, well, that's value for my business, you know? So because I had, oh God, I can't tell you, I was reading the book today. I had it in my purse just so I can remember, okay, this is where we are with this, you know? So I think that that's the piece that can kind of, you know, we have everything we need in this room. It's not the way. It's just how you divvy it out. And I think what you're saying is absolutely.
If somebody comes to one, they come out of it and they're like, oh my gosh, that was too much for me. Do they have to pay again to come to the next one?
Typically, yes.
Yeah,
We usually have
Bart and I
a-
attended a class where you pay up front for 3 classes. It's all the same class, but over the next few years, if you want a refresher, it's already in there, built-in type of thing, or maybe at least a reduced thing to attend one more time within the next year.
Or maybe as a member, then you get that
Yeah,
benefit.
we
as
just
a
give a
member.
discount as a
If you're not a
member.
member, you pay. If you're a member,
Yeah.
you discount the second meeting or
Yeah.
free or whatever.
Well, we found that if you usually have a higher price for a non-member, and then the member has to pay. The main thing is usually it's not a free facility, so usually we have to cover the cost of the facility. If we're lucky enough to get a facility donated, then we can, possibly adjust the cost of the class or something based on that. But at the end of the day, it's really about a fundraiser.
Yeah,
We need to turn that into a fundraiser.
it's one of the most valuable things that TRAG has to offer, keep that class. So
Yeah, pretty much.
I don't think lowering the cost on it is the
Yeah.
right way to go.
Maybe some other way.
I think, obviously some of our challenges is that we're gonna leave here, some of us are gonna drive back north of the mat line, and we're gonna have to deal with the 65,000 emails and all the stuff that goes on in our business. And that's always been our challenge is, so I really think if we can put our heads together, put our wallets together and come up with a way to budget in with some full-time, somebody that can dedicate full-time to the day-to-day, to picking up the phone. We were talking earlier about some of the members that have lapsed. Well, if we had the time just to call them, they may, like Jimmy was talking about, it's almost as good as sitting in front of them. Hey, can you give me a credit card? I mean, you're past due, whatever. Sharon, I think we're broadcasting live here, and I'm assuming people will be able to go back and check out this riveting information that we're sharing today. But the opportunity to draw more people in, I think only grows if we had somebody that could dedicate, 2, 3, 4 days a week to it. So, is there
for that as an association? I mean, can we look at something like that?
We have to build more of a business plan to see what we would need to be able to afford it. Because just stroking the check right now, no. But the idea would be to bring in more revenue. This person would be responsible for more revenue.
I guess that's the most important question I think all of us have was finding employers are nearby as possible. Do we have a candidate that we could approach and talk to?
Yeah, so we're not there yet. I mean, the first thing is, do we have interest in the membership, the members that are supporting us to go that direction? And it sounds like there is some interest there. The next step would be, there's definitely ways that we could, or there's definitely interest, from finding interns, young marketing interns coming out of school, partnering with those guys to having a full-fledged employee, but somebody that's working.
And I don't mean to interrupt you, but I'm gonna just say this: that line that everybody's talking about, that marketer is good for up there because that terminology works. But I think me and him can relate to this. When you hit that line and you come down here, that marketer is about as good as this empty glass flipped upside down, because if they can't relate to a snacks block, a cable, or a line, or abandonment fence, or abandonment vehicle sitting in here, in my past experience, that's what they want to carry on a conversation with. Eye candy is not a piece of paper here. You're basically going to touch bases with that operator and that man on giving him something. If you see a vehicle that's not in a fence, and say, hey man, why is that not in that fence? You see what I'm saying? And give him a piece of advice that kind of like a fish that can bite something. I think the marketer is good above that line. But when you get to South Georgia, things change. This world's totally different. And I'm not saying that in a bad way, but when you hit some of Chris County, Worth County, I mean, different counties, that we deal with, they're speaking a different language when they come down here. And if we're seeking that, then we have to look for a whole different demeanor, a type of person to present to them.
I think somebody with knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, they're going, if you pull up with something to sell, that's one thing. But if you can strike up a conversation as you're fishing with that and hit on something that he's struggling with a problem, then he's going, in my opinion, then they're going to consider joining TRAG, down here. Maybe totally different. That's just my past experience of going around and talking to people. And if I'm wrong, I mean, I don't, that's, like I said, just, it's totally different. That line separates not necessarily people, but the whole way the world works down here.
And it's just not down in South Georgia, it's in rural Georgia.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, you got the same thing in North Georgia, and anything out of the metro areas, it's rural Georgia, it's not north and south.
No, you have the same problem in Blue Ridge.
Yeah, Northwest Georgia
Or
too.
north or west, yes. Lafayette.
Yeah.
And what I meant by that is if we do consider this,
Gainesville is
let's
a
look at a little
metro
bit.
area now.
I guess what I'm saying is, you don't want to throw bad money on top of bad money. You want to make it, because we're gonna have to build a business plan. We're gonna have to look at our budget, look at what we can spend. So let's try to weigh our options out, the best of both worlds, instead of, if we get in this 4 months later, our heads are being down and we're saying, man, we ain't having no luck, that's what I'm saying.
Well, I think
That's
that's what
just-
he means by business plan. It would be tied to membership. It would be tied to performance, right? And they would have to come back to us with some kind of plan that says, hey, I can't sell South Georgia because there's too many gnats down there. So we need to figure out how to,
That's right.
figure out how to
Start
do
making
it.
that.
I just think at this point,
Maybe
we just want to know, is there interest in that, in allocating or working, at least exploring that opportunity, and then get into the details of how do we execute that. All right, well, we've got, I think we've gotten through just about everything on here.
Well, there was some old business I wanted to touch on from the last meeting.
Okay.
Just one quick thing. If we're there, is we right? Is that right?
I think we're there.
Okay. There was some mention about some issues at the scale house in Forsyth, and we had asked Clay and whoever was having any issues to send them any specific citations or whatever they were getting directly to us. And to my knowledge, we haven't gotten anything. I don't know if y'all received anything, Steve, or anything.
I text Shannon and asked him if he was gonna ask his dad to get back to that.
So as far as I know, I think the North Georgia scale house was all one particular officer, and I think that was addressed. I don't know if that has been corrected, but I know that it was addressed specifically to that officer. So hopefully that's a better situation up there. The Department of Revenue abandoned stock issue, we did send another contact to the Department of Revenue, and we got the response back that they need, in order to trace the problem, they need VIN numbers. So that, again, they want specifics. They don't want us to say we have a problem and here's our generic problem. They want us to present them with VIN numbers, and so they can research them individually. Because evidently they don't think they have a large group problem. They think they're isolated incidents. And I disagree, but they're going to have to be the ones to recognize it as an issue so they can fix it.
The removal of the abandoned stocks is what you're touching on.
Correct. The removal of abandoned stocks.
And these said we are.
Yes. If you guys are having any issues with that, please send me. Well, don't send me 1,000 VIN numbers. Pick 5 or 10. Send me a VIN number, or if you'll send it to Steve, because he's now got the email address, and he can forward it to me. And then we'll get with John, and because it's got to go through channels to get to them. But they want specific VIN numbers. So if you have an issue with it, just send me the VIN numbers. And don't send me 1,000, please.
Just the ones that have been issues about them getting released.
But they're not taking the stops off.
Right. You know, where you have them stop doing middle of the paperwork here and I hurry
Well,
it out.
yeah, we get them all the time, but I'm guessing it'll be like a Marty. If I give you a VIN number, they'll go back. They've released it, and they'll go, I don't see an issue.
Probably. They'll probably say, yeah, it was released, but it's still happening. We know it's happening. So, but that was their answer to fix the issues, is to give them specifics.
All right, any other old business? Any new business? It's on there to talk about training. We've already done that.
Talk about the new business.
Anybody got anything else?
Now, let me ask you this, Dave. I was just thinking about this, sitting here and listening to the conversation. And this may come under kind of a training thing. I get phone calls, and usually it's 2 topics. One is tell me about abandoned vehicles, and two is how do I start a towing business? So, and I love those phone calls. But somebody mentioned earlier about just generating some informational material to give to prospective members. I'm wondering if we create some sort of a handout, whether it be a booklet or something that would just give general information on things that a record service should know, you know, towing 101 almost. Something to go to the new members maybe as a, hey, make sure you've got A, B, and C. You want to be legal. You don't want to get caught. If you got a big record, get the towing permit. If you've got, you know, if you cross state lines, you need, you know, make sure you register interstate or intrastate, whatever the distinction there is, especially like in Columbus and Augusta and these places that are on state lines. So do we want to kind of generate something?
I mean, I think that it's a great idea if you had something like she was talking about, another slice, something tangible that you mentioned it. It's an intangible service, but more
like
tangible
bullets,
things.
not the stuff you be giving, all like this whole
Exactly.
this whole buffet that we got today.
Exactly.
But you know, just give me a little piece so I can come and pay for the training and then get more out of the organization because now they have more capital. But yeah, that'd be valuable for us. So go to bullet pointed, straight to the point. There you go.
Yeah, I'm not gonna tell you how to start a towing business.
I'm
But
gonna call you.
tell you what to do when you're in the towing business to stay legal and to kind of, you know, further it along, something like that. I mean, that'd be something that maybe the community could work on.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm just throwing that out there.
I agree.
Sorry, guys, didn't know.
Any other new business? One of the things we did talk about at the planning meeting we had last month was to go ahead and set sort of a schedule for the rest of the meetings, for the rest of the, you know, the year of the term. I don't have my notes on that, but so we have to have 3 meetings plus the annual. Is that right, Bill?
Yes, 4. Yeah, 4 plus the annual.
4 plus the annual. So it's kind of, I think,
September, December.
so we're talking September for the next one?
No, not 4 more. Right, 4 total for the year plus the annual. So it's a 5 total.
Right.
For the year.
And so this will be number 3. Because we had February annual, 3 of the 5. So we need to have 2 more, and we said
decided September, December.
September and December.
And we also said we was gonna get one of the region directors to help with the maintenance.
Yes. So the question is, next region, where do we want to have the next one? In September. And we can put that out to everybody and look for volunteers.
Yeah, the idea was there's 8 regions, so every 2 years it's gonna come around to your region.
Yeah.
And we'll just kind of rotate for whatever makes sense.
Now, I'm gonna tell you, December's a tough time to try to have a meeting.
Is it?
Well, because you're in between holidays, you've only got, 1 or 2 weeks there that'll work. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we started looking at the calendar, it's like,
it's really not a good time.
No, it's not. And so anyway, we'll put some information out. Maybe we look at late November instead of December or something. But
you're dealing with Thanksgiving there, but
yeah. So if any of the directors want to host the next one, let us know. Otherwise, we'll pick one. Yeah. So if there's nothing else, I think we can adjourn.
All right.
Can I get a motion?
So
moved. So moved.
Everybody's interested.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Adam. Appreciate you having us.
Thanks for having us.
We enjoy it. I mean, you're driving, so.
Yeah.
That's I can get you as far as 16.
Yeah, you're talking across something. Yeah.
Oh, we made it. Thanks for your help, sir. Thanks for your continued support.
My arm still hurts. Are you driving over there? You're riding with it. I told him, if you're not worried about my driving, I'm
Thank you.
See, hey, you're in my region now, so you better straighten up.
Well, wish I had a car to go back home with y'all do.
You got, I'm going to